He's an industry plant meant to spread far right values.
Oh my God! No, where's that from? I didn't read that.
Don't you dare lump me in with those scumbags.
Yeah, go outside, read a book, ground yourself, get some light.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to possibly the most controversial episode, probably the most controversial thing you'll ever hear this year from us. So you don't want to tune away from this. You're going to want to listen to every single second. But I cannot do this without my main man, Dixon. How are you?
Ice? Is it really you? Is it you? Are you Ice?
Oh, it's me. It's me. Believe it or else.
I can't believe that we're actually speaking because it felt like this show was. We took an extended pause. Didn't we take a pause for a moment?
We did. I'll tell you what.
It wasn't all your fault. It wasn't all your fault, right?
I mean, I guess you could say that, as in, I wasn't the one wanting to go away on vacation all these times, but it did, in fact, cut into our direct recording time, unfortunately, and I do apologize for that. Because as we all
technical issue.
Yes, okay, yeah. Then we had the technical issue. Just so everyone knows, if you update your BIOS, your audio interface may freak out. So just everyone be aware of that. Keep your drivers updated. That's all I could say. We had major issues with my mic last week, but we got everything figured out and everything's running smoothly. Everything's running great. But just a heads up for people out there. That's what's been going on, though.
A little inside jargon there. That was good. That was some good stuff there. And it's good to be back.
It is.
Really good to be back, I think. I mean, we had a dry run last week. It just didn't work out. I think it was what happened. Your mic was not used in a certain amount of time, so it stopped working. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it wasn't anything that I just said. It was just the fact that I wasn't here. That's another tip. If you don't use your mic within a week or 2 weeks, then it's dead. Forget it. Throw it in the trash.
There you go. Exactly. So we're back from summer vacation, summer break. We're back in. We're gonna finish the rest of this year strong. And you mentioned you were on quite a few trips, right? You took some vacations and things like that. You were out. You were sightseeing.
Yeah, I took some time away. We went to a lake, undisclosed lake. I don't want to dox myself here, but it was very beautiful, good. Very beautiful. Really enjoyed ourselves. I'll just say it was up north. Had a good time. Very relaxing. And you know what, Dixon? I honestly can't even remember the other thing that I did because it was 2 weeks that we were gone. I can't remember the other thing. What the hell was it?
It's amazing. It sounds like, you're living this vacation, like you sound a lot like those rich men north of Richmond. I hate to say it, but and you alluded to this in the beginning, right? I'm not kidding. I'm just joking. I'm not lumping you into that group at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say we talked about this last time in our unheard recording. Don't you dare lump me in with those scumbags.
It's true. So as you alluded to it before, we're talking about because while we were on break, things happened in the music world. And they kind of crossed over into politics as well. Well, we're talking about the last couple weeks of the summer. Who would have thought the sleeper bangers, the sleeper hits of the summer were these conservative anthems that have just kind of, been happening. They're labeled as conservative anthems. I should say that.
Yes.
So we're talking about the song "Try That in a Small Town" by Jason Aldean and "Men North of Richmond" by this young guy, Anthony. And they kind of Oliver Anthony's song literally went viral overnight. Regardless of where you were, what you were scrolling through, something came up about Oliver Anthony at some point. And then, of course, a major backlash, a major boycott. Things were banned, things were censored when it came to Jason Aldean's "Try That in a Small Town." So it seems like it might be that the quote conservative movement is having a moment in the sun here through these songs, and of course we're going to talk about that because that might not necessarily be true. But I know you were the one who told me about Aldean's song and how people were pissed off about it.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned this because you said you have heard of these songs whether you listen to country or not. You've heard of this.
Right.
It's been in the news, and it's so funny because I feel like the type of people that get mad at these songs, they're the ones that make them more and more popular. It's like
100%.
they rage about it, they post about it, whether it be on Twitter, they make articles about it, just all these angry posts, and it just blows up out of nowhere. So me, I listen to country every now and then. I don't regularly listen to Jason Aldean. I would have no idea that the song even came out if there weren't all these articles about saying it's racist, it's bigoted, it's hateful, all this crazy stuff. And of course I'm going to say, well, I want to listen to this. I want to figure this out for myself, right?
Sure. Absolutely. And that's why you kind of put that on the radar. And, speaking of articles, so you were, I remember you told me about Jason Aldean. Let's actually, before we get into the articles here.
Sure.
So Jason Aldean, your typical country bro, right? Sort of the Nickelback version of country,
That's pretty good. No, you're right.
Right. It definitely doesn't. I don't think he writes his own songs. I know you and I, where we're from, when we go during the summer, you go to concerts, there's, outdoor events, there's things happening. I think you and I have seen Jason Aldean probably a handful of times.
Yeah.
Just for the party, just for the camaraderie. I've never been a huge Jason Aldean fan. I think he has that brand of country that just is kind of soulless and kind of like the Bo Burnham. Have you seen the Bo Burnham parody of a country song?
Yeah,
It's all those hot spots.
Yep. He's kind of like Luke Bryan to me, just like a front man. He's the face of other people writing his songs, essentially.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a popular guy enough. I mean, he sells out tours. You see him on social media. He's around. Was accepted into the mainstream as a country artist. So he releases this song, Try That in a Small Town. And the backlash wasn't so much about the lyrics, I don't think, as the video. And I'll just give you a little snippet of the lyrics. And of course, I think these are probably based around or inspired by the summer of love of 2020, when you had, mass chaos in the streets, fiery but mostly peaceful protests.
Yes.
And this is the other thing too, is I think it's important to make the distinction between protest and just destruction. And I think there was a lot of that coverage of just the destruction, whereas protest is a very vital, very necessary thing. And I think, unfortunately, there was some bad people that took advantage of that moment.
Yeah, I want to hit on that really quick. And I think it's really important. I'm glad you brought this up, that we make the distinction that, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Dixon, but I was very against the rioting. I mean, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I thought it was kind of disgusting. But the news really just covered that. There were a lot of protests going on, that just people doing a movement, saying what they thought about everything that was going on during that summer. And, obviously I support that. I think it's your right as an American. It's your freedom, as long as you're doing it and not hurting other people. I think that's totally fine. But yeah,
for sure. So you're absolutely right. And so I'm looking at the lyrics, and I see that, he talks about this: sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think that's cool? Well, act a fool if you like. And he talks, cuss out a cop, spit in his face. Obviously taking a hard line stance against rioting and destruction, and, just kind of taking advantage, like we said, of a movement and making it a violent act or trying to loot and those kinds of things, right?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that's what he's targeting. Just in the first few lines, that's what we're focusing on here.
Right. So then the video comes out, and all heck breaks loose because this is a racist thing, this video. So I watched the video, and then I read some stuff about the video. I would say, I don't know, maybe 95% of the footage is white people protesting cops, going against cops in a violent manner. And I think the majority of it was from Canada, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And what I've read is that the majority of it was from Canada. And I'm like, he picks up, it targets specific racial or ethnic groups, and let's feature this in the video. It's a pretty widespread commentary on violence of any kind in any small town or city during the last few years, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I didn't think it was directly pointed. Just kind of a widespread overview of, like, don't don't do violence in our town, essentially.
Right. That seems like a fair thing. Try that. Don't try that in a small town. Try that in a small town, whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
we talk about the articles, right?
Mhm.
So, Rolling Stone, which evidently now is the country music publication of record, right?
Yeah, out of nowhere. I didn't know they had that distinction. I mean,
Yeah, you're right. Out of nowhere, completely. They seem absolutely obsessed with Jason Aldean and this song. So I just typed in, try that in a small town, Rolling Stone. All right, so August 8th, Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town plummets on the Hot 100 chart. Jason Aldean's Small Town takes fear-mongering to number 1. The MAGA narrative in Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town. The most ridiculously right-wing country songs of all time. Jason Aldean's Small Town video removes Atlanta protest footage. Sheryl Crow slams Jason Aldean. It keeps going up. It keeps going. They have these articles and articles about Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town because obviously this has been branded as a conservative white power movement, right wing racist thing.
yeah.
And I guess I guess you could make that distinction. But if I knew nothing about protesting, if I knew nothing about Rolling Stone stance, if I knew nothing about Jason Aldean, I would think, okay, well, I mean, they always write songs about kicking ace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, don't step up to me. Don't come on my property.
Yeah.
Like that kind of. It's like a common thing. Yeah,
right. It seems like a common thread in country music. So, granted, so CMT, I guess, removed the video from its rotation. CMA or one of the radio shows took the song out of rotation. Luke Bryan, I think, then took songs off of CMT in like response. Once again, branded as a conservative movement. But once again, why is, in reality, now I understand he's advocating for violence in the sense that if you try that in my small town, we're probably going to retaliate. Right?
Yes, yeah.
But why would saying try that in a small town or being, I think, anti-violence, anti-rioting, anti-looting, hijacking a movement for violent gain, why did that become labeled a conservative or a MAGA stance?
I honestly don't know, but if I had to guess, if I had to put sense to it, I think when you had the riots that was 2020, you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
Got it. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but yeah.
No,
so
it doesn't.
It really doesn't. So it's still fresh in my mind. So the riots of 2020 were very clearly. It seemed like they were automatically labeled as like, okay, the left are the ones protesting and rioting, and the people on the right are the ones that are against that or going against that movement, right? So
right.
And I don't even think that the right was really against the whole message of the BLM protests. It was more saying like, hey, don't come into here and just burn everything down, because that is objectively what was happening in some of these cases. They got out of control and everything.
Sure.
So then you have this song. And I think Jason Aldean didn't write it, but the people who wrote it, I think they're trying to convey that. And I don't know if you've ever been to a small town, Dixon, but there is a sense of community there. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone's watching each other's back, essentially. Just like you said, how country songs kind of are. Everyone's got each other's back in a small town and everything. And it's saying, if you're going to do something like that in a small town, then you're gonna get some pushback for it. I mean, whatever it may be. And I just think it's kind of what it's trying to convey, because there really was no voice for the anti-rioters.
Right.
I mean, and in my opinion, I think this song is just a culmination of that.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that I think there was. I think you could make the connection. Jason Aldean, his wife has this. Or second wife. I don't know what his wife is. They seem like they're not people you want to hang out with in reality. Like, I don't know, they just seem like they're very manufactured. Like I don't know.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
From what I can tell, from what I've seen on social media, she has like this thing. I guess she was going back and forth with somebody else about transgenderism. So they have this, or they built, or maybe they've created on spite, on purpose.
Yeah.
This sort of conservative firebrand idea of themselves and how they represent the places they're from and the country and all these kinds of things. So that's probably why everybody jumped to, okay, well, this guy, it's automatically a racist thing. And they go from there and kind of put their own interpretation on it. If I didn't like you said before, if I didn't know anything, I wouldn't even know Jason Aldean wrote this song. I might have heard it on the radio and thought, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. Try that in a small town.
Yeah,
Yeah. If I
yeah.
didn't have any coverage about this at all, I heard anything about this at all, I really wouldn't even give it a thought or even recognize that, oh, wow, this is kind of controversial. Like, I wouldn't even think about it.
Absolutely. And I don't think on the face of it, there really is nothing controversial about this song. I mean, that's my opinion. They're not targeting anyone. But like you were saying before, it's like, okay, if you're against this song, then what are you really saying? Are you just allowed to go riot and just destroy a small town if you wanted to? Like, I don't know I really don't understand what they're getting at.
And you're right too, and that's a good point, because you have the last couple of years, I think, starting obviously with Trump, and you have things that Trump has said that you could make the excuse for Trump always just talking. There's people out there that are going to take Trump for his word and do whatever Trump says.
100%.
Whether partake in violence, partake in rioting, partake in anti-rioting, whatever it might be. You had the rise of Antifa, which apparently is a myth still. Antifa doesn't exist.
Oh my God, I almost forgot about them. That almost got memory hole. But yeah, there were tons of Antifa riots.
Right. And then you have Trump, he says things like, "Oh, there's very fine people on both sides," and then you have the other extreme where AOC is saying, "Oh, well, they don't have jobs. This economy is awful, so they're stealing bread. Meanwhile, they're breaking into Gucci and they're ransacking a pharmacy." It's
biggest cop out I've ever heard in my life. That's just not true.
Right. So you have both of these these talking heads. Not to draw a line right down the middle.
Right.
You have these talking heads, and you have these figures on both sides of your aisle that are going to justify your actions no matter what. And it just so happens that the music media, I would say, does not have a conservative lean or any kind of lean that would support Jason Aldean and his brand of country music. So that's, I think, how this whole thing got ramped up to be labeled as this conservative anthem. Oh, it's right wing. It's fear mongering. I'm not really sure what the fear mongering thing is, because in reality, if you're in a small town, or even more if you live in a city, I think it's your right to protect yourself and protect your family and what you've earned and what you've built. Absolutely. It doesn't seem all that outlandish to me. It is what it is. So Aldean kind of hit it out of the ballpark with this one, because now people are talking about it, and I think it was still in the top 10 on iTunes from last I checked.
Yeah, I think if anything, they just amplified it, kind of put it on a loudspeaker, just announce it to everyone. And I think we probably talked about this before on the show, but I don't know what people on the left or the people who support these riots think, but like, it kind of pushes people away from your side. Like my mother, who does not follow politics at all, I remember in 2020 we were talking about this, and she's like, why are people supporting this? Why are people okay with this? And it kind of pushed her more to one side than the other, just seeing what was happening, and then seeing, people saying that, oh, this is okay, this is totally fine. And and if I'm trying to reach across the aisle to people that not saying we're right wing or left wing, but the people that are against this. Let's flip it on its head. Let's say you have a bunch of crazy. We'll do a very like crazy example. Let's say you have a bunch of MAGA far right QAnon people coming to your town of LGBTQ people, and they're just they're protesting, I don't know, AOC or some kind of progressive policy. So they're protesting, but at the same time, some of them are attacking LGBTQ businesses and setting fire to them. Are you not allowed to defend yourself? Or they're attacking people there. Are you not allowed to defend yourself? So that's kind of what they're saying. It's like, you could, as long as you just don't do any violence or hate against people or something like that, then you have every right to defend yourself. I don't know. I feel crazy trying to talk about this, trying to make sense of the people who are against this. It totally is over my head completely.
Right. And if they think that Jason Aldean songs are bad, they should listen to like other country songs and like other country catalogs. It's basically Justin Moore has a song. Justin Moore has a song. I Can Kick Your Ass is the name of the song. Brantley Gilbert talks about assaulting somebody in a parking lot if they put their hands on a woman. Like, hey, completely justified, but still violent.
Yeah.
You know, the whole idea of the small town. Once again, looking out for each other is not a new narrative. It just so happens that Aldean put some footage of the Summer of Love, which I said what I've read is most of it is from Canadian protests, from what I can tell. So it really isn't even relevant to how we do things down here.
You're right.
You know, it's to lump it together and to say, oh my gosh, this is automatically racist is. It's an unfair thing. It really is, because I guarantee you, if white MAGA Republicans started destroying a small town, it'd be the same blowback too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just the idea of it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, my example doesn't even have to be a community of like majority like LGBTQ people. It could just be anyone. But yeah, if we saw something like that, yeah, people would be pissed.
And now, and didn't we see something like this? And now Trump, and January 6th, the infamous January 6th protest where they broke into the Capitol. It just cracks me up. I don't know why. It's such a funny, because now Trump is going to face the death penalty in Georgia for interfering in an election.
Man, that escalated pretty quickly, didn't it? that got pretty wild.
It sure did. It's like 750 years plus the death penalty. Okay, that makes sense. It's just completely ridiculous. So there you go. You have a brand of justice. It's not one system isn't favoring the other, and this is just the commentary on that. And regardless of what you do, just be nice to people. Keep to yourself. Right. Protest your cause. Don't be an asshole about it, and move on.
Exactly. If this you summed it up perfectly. If this song was saying something other than it is, if it was like, hey, shut your mouth, we don't want your protests, we don't want your ideas, that's a different story. That might be actually racist, but this is it's simply not. It's simply about defending yourself. It's simply about stopping people from destroying what you've earned, your property, and protecting your family. And that is it. Sure. That's where it stops.
And I also will recommend, I also will say, I don't think he's advocating any violence. He said, we take care of our own. That's it. It's over.
No, you're right. Maybe,
I think there should be a protest too about censorship. Don't we want to have a marketplace of ideas where we could take in all the information and then reject the things that we don't like, and then also, if it's hateful, block that speech, or if it's inciting violence? We should have this. We have this idea of freedom, and we can't be picky or pick and choose what should be in this marketplace of freedom of speech. It should be all things. Once again, that there's a fine line between hate speech and violent speech, and I get that. We have to protect that line, but let us all hear what both sides are saying, every side is saying, and then go from there. And then, of course, hopefully make a fair assessment, which isn't happening with poor Mr. Aldean, but it is what it is. So.
I'm totally on board with you, Dixon. You hit the nail on the head.
So it's amazing. So now we're actually going to move on to what I think. So Jason Aldean, take or leave Jason Aldean, whatever.
Right.
Country, 21st century, 20th century country, whatever. Not the I'd say a great songsmith, great lyrics, all those kind of things. But you have this guy out of West Virginia, lived in North Carolina, this straight up, actually somebody from the country that sings country music, this guy, Oliver Anthony. And background on Oliver Anthony, he was, he's work in construction, or he's in construction. He's from these rural towns in Appalachia region. He has been recording music and writing music and putting music on TikTok and social media for the last few years, and went absolutely viral a few weeks ago for his song Men North of Richmond. And since then, his career has exploded. He's getting offers. He's released more songs. He's at the top. Its song, I guess, debuted at #1 when it came out. And this is a song that I think says a whole lot about everything. And I think what the majority of people are thinking, just that things are generally screwed up. and this was still labeled as a conservative right wing whatever. And this one I definitely don't get. I really don't get it at all. So I remember so you shared Aldean's song with me, and I put Oliver Anthony on your radar, and I wanted to ask, what did you think when you heard it?
Yeah, so looking into this, I also saw all of the articles, and you sent me one from our friends at Rolling Stone.
Right.
And it's titled "Right-Wing Influencers Just Found Their Favorite New Country Song." And I found that very interesting, like you just said, but because I don't understand this either. I don't understand how this became a left and right political song, because you read through the lyrics, it is literally about the wealthy class, the people in power. He's obviously referring to the people in DC, the rich politicians, how they're screwing up the world essentially, and the little man is getting screwed over. It really is. It's more of a class song than anything. I mean,
for sure.
So I'm not understanding where the hate is coming from. And I listened to this, and I love it. It's a nice, short, concise song. It hits on essentially the plight of the working man.
Right.
And I think a lot of people could associate with it. I think a lot of people could relate to it. And that's probably why it blew up overnight and became so popular.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think if any other songwriter had written this back in the day, like a guy like Woody Guthrie, who influenced Bob Dylan, this would be in the Smithsonian overnight. We have to preserve this song. This is, like you said, a song about class, a commentary about working, everything else. And so once again, the articles. So let's go back to the articles.
Okay.
Rolling Stone, Oliver Anthony's "Rich Men North of Richmond" is the number one song in the country. Who is still buying digital downloads? Oliver Anthony's fans, apparently. Oliver Anthony for president, what we saw at the viral songwriters concert. Oliver Anthony's populist, polarizing "Rich Men North of Richmond" on track to debut at number 1. So once again, they're also following Oliver Anthony's career very, very intensely.
What is polarizing about this, by the way? It's unbelievable. But yeah, they're obsessed. They're obsessed.
Absolutely obsessed with these two songs. So I'm just going to read a couple lyrics. Just if you haven't heard it, you probably have by now, but listen to it. So it opens up. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for BS pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home, and drown my troubles away. The chorus, which comes in, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Living in the new world with an old soul, these rich men north of Richmond, obviously a commentary on politicians just in Northern Virginia. So here's where it might get a little bit polarizing with these two stanzas right here. Still, regardless, these should be non-issues. I wish politicians would look out for minors with an ER.
Yep.
And not just minors, OR, on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare, which is a little bit,
yeah,
a little. I don't know. So he goes on. He talks about the obese more.
a few more lines about it.
Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds,
I love this.
Taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. And this is a real thing too. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. So you look at those two things. In reality, right now, you're talking about Epstein, you're talking about human trafficking, the epidemic, the very serious, grave issue that's affecting the world. And I imagine that majority of it goes on in the United States. That should be a non-issue. Human trafficking should be a non-issue. A couple weeks ago, Trump saw that movie, The Sound of Freedom.
Yes.
About human trafficking and child trafficking, and he came out and released a video and said anybody that's convicted or found guilty of human trafficking is automatically going to get the death penalty. That statement should get 150 million votes.
Yeah. Why are we against this? Yeah.
Yeah. You should get 100. You should have as many people are allowed to vote legally in this country. That he should have that many amount of votes.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's true. So now we get into this well.
Yeah. What?
So I can see, well, maybe, that and I get the frustration because everybody has a story, And I know everybody has a story that, oh, I was in the supermarket the other day and
Yeah.
somebody in front of me was buying a steak and they had a EBT card or welfare card or whatever the heck they call it,
Yep.
whatever it is. So I can understand the frustration. I can get that. To make it a sort of a personal attack is a little suspect, a little highbrow, a little lowbrow, whatever you want to say. I don't know. But so I could see the issue there. But in reality, the song itself is fantastic. It's a country guy singing a country song, playing the guitar, singing his heart out, no auto tune. And what does Rolling Stone say? Oh, it's this right wing thing. Who's buying his music? It's messed up. But no commentary on the actual music, which I think, from a music standpoint, this is fantastic.
No, I totally agree. It's it is telling though that Rolling Stone refuses to hit on what he's actually saying here, and everyone wants to focus on the obese milk and welfare, quote unquote.
Yeah, right.
And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, have taken that and labeled it as right wing simply because of that. Right. Now, I can understand what they're saying. Poor people aren't probably the root of all of your issues, but like you said, there is a kind of a disconnect, and I think especially when you're from a rural area, you work hard, whether you be working on a farm or in some kind of construction or something, and a lot of the times you don't get assistance out there because you're working and you're making too much money. So I think there's a disconnect when they see someone who isn't working and they're able to buy steaks that are with their essentially their tax money. That probably pisses them off a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that too. And like you said, the poor people aren't the root of all your problems. But I get that can be frustrating. And once again, I think that now we talked about try that in a small town. That is a commentary, I think, on small town, mentalities, rural mentalities, maybe a closed off sort of perspective where it's like, okay, this person, this fat person in front of me is buying shit with my money. And I could see how that could be frustrating if that's your perspective, right? Like you were saying.
Yeah, right. Because if that's your perspective, you're not really like I said, if you come from a small town, that's pretty much all you know, and just whatever else you research online. So when you see someone like that, and you don't understand that, maybe the majority of people on welfare aren't just milking it, and it is a small portion of our budget to begin with, but I think that's where that disconnect is in there. But this song, I think it doesn't really focus on just that. I think this guy is just saying, where things are being messed up, and he's critiquing, I guess, the welfare system, which, you could argue it's right or wrong. I mean, but the line is there, but I think to take that and make it a stretch that like, oh, the song is automatically far right because of that, I think they're going a little too far.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think as a song, this shouldn't be. You take out some of these things. This shouldn't be a polarizing song.
No,
the government is your problem. You should love your country. The government is your problem. The quote, rich men north of Richmond. Obviously, this guy is from the south. Southern portion is causing you problems. Either one way or another. We should all be united in. The sense of, okay, question your government. What are they doing? What are they doing for us? How can they make things better? Why are we at a standstill on certain things? That should be a very unifying theme, because in reality, that's how it should be. This is what this country was founded on, those ideals.
Absolutely.
And somehow that got disconnected. And here we are. Now I'm seeing TikToks that the American flag is the new Confederate flag.
Oh my God. Give me a break, for God's sakes.
We're missing that whole point. And I think that is a commentary on society in general, that everybody is so one extreme or the other. It's so polarizing that we can't unify over something. And it's a beautiful song in terms of how it's presented, in terms of its honesty, how raw it is, the progressions he used. This is a guy that's not a musician. He's, a songwriter. He's a storyteller, and just happens to be telling a story. He played a live show, I think, for the first time ever a few weeks ago, and he opened with a Bible verse. Like, this is a regular down-home country guy who should be making country music, And I think we're really missing that whole thing. So we'll see how he keeps up. I don't know, the Welfare Edition Volume 2 or whatever.
More on that.
So that's just because we talked about this. We're like, this is a good song, and I think you agree too.
No, I absolutely do. And just to hit really quick on what you said about how everyone's kind of missing the point. It's actually kind of interesting because the idea that he's proclaiming through this, that people are essentially separated more by class than they are by, race or gender or anything like that. That's a very leftist, almost like communistic look at things.
It is,
that people are separated by how much money they have. Like you have more in touch with someone who makes the same amount of money as you, who is of a different race, than you would someone of the same race who is way more wealthy than you, which is probably true, right, to be completely honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's
there definitely is that class divide.
Absolutely. There's a huge class divide. And I think that's kind of refreshing to see someone like finally talking about that people who are wealthy, people who are in power, probably don't have your best interest in mind, and they probably just want to retain their power, and they'll say anything to get there, while, the middle class and lower class are kind of suffering. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
I think everyone missed the point. I think everyone saw that the 5'3", 300-pound person. I think they saw that, and they totally just went off the deep end. You know what though? Yeah. I'm interested to see what Oliver Anthony's gonna come up with in the future.
You're absolutely right. He said it himself. He's down the middle. He's what works for me. He doesn't have alignment with either side. And once again, that's how this song should be taken. As far as an album, as far as an artist, if this guy writes an album's worth of songs, we're talking Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers, that era, that genre, that little niche of country music. I think he fits right into it. And once again, we need more commentary like this. We need people to be honest. We need raw moments of emotion from every perspective, and to hear those things. So we'll see what Oliver Anthony does. Like you said, I'm excited to hear. And once again, the people in power don't have your best interest. Dianne Feinstein from California. Yeah. Have you been following the story? Dianne Feinstein, 90 years old.
What happened with her?
So she's in something. I guess she's in Congress.
Whatever the hell.
She's and she is 90 years old and just gave power of attorney to her daughter, but is still serving her district in California, right? Meanwhile, you have Donald Trump, who's going to be 80 or something. He's running. So it's like, and once again, let's meet in the middle here and say, okay, well, evidently, Trump is just on a revenge tour. He doesn't care what the hell he's doing. He's getting revenge. You know, right. People like Pelosi and Feinstein and everybody else, they want to have their power and make millions, and I don't care about you either. So once again, let's look at the divide here. Let's unite that we should question these people, and it shouldn't be a polarizing issue. And enjoy Oliver Anthony's music. It's good. It's honest music for a change that's actually getting traction and coverage. So, keep listening to his stuff. I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, no, yeah, me too. And I'm definitely gonna be watching out for him. I wouldn't be surprised if we do some kind of album review on him in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I think this guy's going to stay in the spotlight. Now, really, really quick before we go, I don't know. Did you want to cover anything, Dixon? Did you have a rant or anything? I just wanted to bring this up about Oliver Anthony really quick.
I have a little bit of a snippet, just a little bit of snippet. Go ahead. Let's bring it home for Oliver Anthony.
Just really quick, and I don't know if you've heard this. Did you hear the conspiracy behind Oliver Anthony?
He's an industry plant. Is that what I heard?
He's an industry plant meant to spread far right values.
Oh my gosh! No, where's that from? I didn't read that. Where's that?
I've been seeing some large leftist influencers talking about this, and they're saying they're saying that he is a racist person, and it's subtle little hints. What's it called when people put like little hints and things, and you're supposed to
like a dog whistle?
Dog whistles. And it's you're subconsciously getting all these things put into you. Like for instance,
oh my gosh.
The reason that it's titled Men North of Richmond is because Richmond apparently was a headquarters of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
So that's why. That's why
Confederate capital.
Yeah, it was a Confederate capital, and the concert that he had was all fake, and it was all set up by some kind of right wing influencers, like right wing dark money. And this guy, he's been made and everything like that. I mean, I can't think of a worse way to get people on your side than try. Like, besides people who are online who are probably already picked the political side, like if you ask your parents, they probably don't know who Oliver Anthony is. So
No, they have no idea.
I don't know why
No
you
clue.
would spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on Oliver Anthony and make him a plant.
Yeah, to prop this guy up. That is so funny.
I know. I just thought that was ridiculous.
I have to check that out. I haven't heard. I've heard that the idea that he's an industry plant. I have. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a pretty bad industry plant. I mean, I guess. I mean, like I look at actual industry plants. Like I think Billie Eilish is an industry plant. I think Taylor Swift is kind of like an industry plant.
Yeah.
He's manufactured people. I think Lana Del Rey has. Isn't there a rumor that Lana Del Rey is kind of a plant too?
I haven't heard that. Maybe.
I think I've heard that early on, like when she first went on SNL and she was just like a ghost standing there.
Oh.
By the way, we have to talk about Lana Del Rey. Lana Del Rey. I don't think she's an industry plant. I think she has some of the best music in the last 10, 15, 12 years, whatever.
I would love to do an episode on her.
Yeah. But so it's funny that you said that about the Richmond North of Richmond, because I was thinking when I first saw the title Richmond North of Richmond, I'm thinking, boy, that's a pretty odd geographic location, landmark to base your song off of. I thought that was kind of strange in reality. I mean, the only thing I think is that you're so deep in Appalachia, Appalachia, that like Richmond is this big. I've driven through Richmond, and you're not missing much over the highway. It's just, there's a big cigarette plant. And that's about it. From what I can tell.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cigarettes there.
Yeah, it's like I did think, boy, that's kind of a weird place to kind of base your thing off of. I mean, there's definitely. I get what he's saying, and I think it's meant for the people that are in. He's probably writing music for the people that are like him, around him, in his hauler. That's what the reference point is.
I just thought that he was referencing people in like Washington D.C. because if you it is directly north, and I'm like, I didn't really take much stock into it, and plus. Rich men and Richmond. I mean, there's the.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. There's nothing really behind this besides that, I guess. But I didn't
think about I didn't think of where Richmond. Well, I know. Obviously, DC is north, and obviously it's north of Richmond. But I didn't really think about the relation of Richmond to DC. But like, obviously, it's directed at Washington DC. But.
Right,
Richmond just seems like I don't know. I could see that being a thing just because it's kind of odd. Like when people are talking about it, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, like if you look at a map, like it's almost directly north. Washington D.C. is almost directly north, but
okay, I didn't really realize that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see if it was some like wacky place that you would never think of, and like, oh, then you look into it, it's like, oh, where slavery started or something. Like, okay, maybe
Land Rally headquarters, something like that. Yeah, I could see that thing. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
That's pretty interesting though. Yeah, I have to check some of that stuff out. Those left wing influencers must be.
Oh man,
I can't imagine what their day in the life is to be so miserable and about everything all the time. Like I can't imagine. And it seems like they're successful. They're getting traction. They're everywhere. They're on TikTok. I mean, the teenage mind runs on TikTok in this day and age. There's hours and hours of TikTok all day long. It cannot be healthy for you from every standpoint. And eventually, that's going to become your reality, I would think.
Yeah, I think people are. I think your dopamine receptors are pretty fried, especially when you're getting. And it's really messed up too, because you're getting information in like a very quick format. You're not really getting all the details.
Yeah.
You're just getting plowed with this, people are giving you these ideas or facts or whatever, and then it's on to the next one. You're just getting constantly pelted. But yeah, even just the format of it, I don't think that probably can't be good for you, like you said. Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's the TikTok is not good. In China, they have a regulation. You can't. It's a certain amount of time on TikTok for people that are a certain age, and this is where TikTok is based in China. They don't want their kids using it all the time. So what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against. I'm against limiting people's freedom, but it probably would be a good idea to self-limit yourself from those shorts and those TikToks and reels and all that stuff.
Yeah, go outside, read a book, get some, ground yourself, get some light in your eyes as soon as you wake up, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
So, real quick, since we're talking about Americans, protests, anthems, those kind of things, your boy Bob Dylan new tour starting this fall.
Really?
Yes. So this is a
way.
continuation of the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour that launched in 2021. The world tour. It's like pretty limited days. It looks like it's mostly like up north and in the East Coast and I think parts of the Midwest.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
But he's out there. He's hitting the road. The band's back together. Dylan's doing it again. So maybe if he comes around where one of us are located, we'll have to take it in.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty fun. Look at I'm checking the dates here. Yeah, it seems pretty limited here. But
yeah, I guess there's supposed to be more dates. And what's interesting is that so I think pretty much every Bob Dylan set list is on his website somewhere, or definitely being tracked, so you can see what he's playing. Because I guarantee he's going to play some weird stuff, like some weird shit you never heard of. And he's probably going to play the majority of Rough and Rowdy Ways, which I haven't heard yet. It's this. I don't know. I think it came out during COVID. I think 2020 he released that album. But Dylan's still doing it, making things happen. Big fan of the show, friend of the show, Bob Dylan. Bob, if you want to come on and promote your tour, please do.
Yeah,
open invite. We did a 4-part episode on Bob Dylan a few years back. Check that out if you haven't seen it. It's some pretty good info. We got a good response from it, so I think you'll enjoy it if you're a Bob Dylan fan.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the best things that we've done. Very super informative, actually. I learned a lot going through that. That was a lot. That was actually a lot of fun to do those several part episodes. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on this tour. And guys, let us know what you think about the quote unquote conservative anthems. Do you agree with them? Do you think they're offensive? Which one's your favorite? Do you think Oliver's an industry plant? Let us know. Let us know if you agree with us. And Dixon, you have anything to say to our fans before we sign off here?
Glad to be back. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. We're over the hump. How many subscribers do we have?
Oh my God! Hold on. Really quick.
Yeah, we got to do an updated count because it took us forever to get to 100, and now we're well over 100.
155 as of right now.
155.
That's crazy.
Wow! Congratulations to you all who have helped us eclipse the 150 mark, and are now well into getting into the 160s, very dangerously close.
Yeah.
Because to put it in perspective, we had I think 19 subscribers in January.
We did,
and people listened and loved your love letter to the Smiths and Morrissey and all that. And now we have a whole new audience, which is great. So they're probably going to love this talk about Jason Aldean and everything else.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to find it very fascinating. I think we're going to get a lot of non-subscribers as well as soon as we put this up. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, this is probably going to be very controversial. Probably going to get a lot of talking, a lot of talk back and forth in our comments, but we will definitely address them next week. And guys, we come up with a new episode every week, so
most of the time.
Okay, well, we're back on track now. Everything's squared away, but
several weeks missing, but it's okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Like I said, drop a comment below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks you for listening.
Peace.